Well, g'day flatties and globe defenders. This is Critical Think from Down Under. Well, I thought I'd better reply to this video. Mentions me, he says here, following Critical Think's clip today, I show that the rendering of his globe model is entirely misleading and does not match reality at all. Yeah, right. Tell him he's dreaming. Right, and considering I cannot reply on this channel because I'm blocked, what kind of a cowardly stunt is that? Make a video about me and I can't reply. So this is my only avenue of reply. I have to defend my good name, otherwise you'll somehow think that you're right. Exploring the plane, suffering from a confirmation bias-fueled delusion, mistakenly thinks he can cherry-pick a single observation that is easily fudged and confidently declare that my entire Blackpool render is inaccurate and misleading. I'll be dissecting his work in detail and shattering this delusion. So here's a synopsis of Exploring the Plane's claim. It's translated into globe speak. Exploring the Plane performs angular size analysis on a single dodgy point, and he finds it matches a globe of radius 5,200 miles, and therefore the Earth is not a globe. I will show analysis and evidence that my rendering is not misleading, and a typical refraction value of 7/6R is a good match for reality. In other words, Exploring the Plane is full of bollocks. Exploring the Plane says, in this short clip here I show that his rendering is entirely inaccurate. Well, no, that's very ambitious of you, because as you'll come to see, just cherry picking one point out of thousands of points is not any evidence for my rendering being entirely inaccurate. You're gonna have to do better than that. But anyway, I only have 1 point to deal with, so let's smash this to bits, shall we? So, Exploring the Plane has this theory about optics and things like this and angular size, and his claim is that he doesn't have much confidence in a model's ability to faithfully depict a landscape, and he'll explain those problems later, and maybe we won't get into this now, but it's a load of bollocks as usual. But anyway, we'll carry on. He says, I presume that Critical Think has used observer height and angular sizes to produce the render that he shows here. Now, you don't even know how I produce my render, so how could you possibly know that it was entirely inaccurate? Yes, I have used observer height, but not using angular sizes. I'm modelling, yes, but not angular sizes. Angular sizes are a result of the way that the model works. We don't put angular sizes into this particular model. You can do it if you wish, but the calculations and the rendering done here are not done that way. They're done with a ray tracer, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a little while. So, Exploring the Plane did some angular size calculations, yeah, and that's okay. But he could not produce the same results. I'm not really sure why, but perhaps this will become clear as we progress further. Now, first off, here is my original render. Now, this is done with a ray tracing software. RuHIF added some extra bits to PovRay. So a ray tracing software works by modelling the behaviour of light. And in particular, in general, light just travels in straight lines. Now, refraction is the bending of light, and this PovRay implementation was modified to simulate the bending of light due to the passage of light through a density gradient which is more dense towards the surface. And all the modelling of the atmosphere has confirmed that the light bends downwards. Now, I know you flatties like to say that it bends upwards, but this is totally incorrect, and all the science, and you can look it up, all the science points to the fact, and it's been verified 100 times, 1,000 times, the light bends downwards in a density gradient. So this render, how it was produced, is a bit of a mystery to Exploring the Plane, so I'll explain it a bit. This render was produced by first obtaining terrain data from Earth Explorer, and then this terrain data had to be run through some transformations in order to be able to use it in POVRay. So POVRay then simulates the action of light rays towards the eye, and then therefore rendering the scene. It does this by simulating light rays traversing from the eye to the scenery. Now this is the opposite direction to which light rays travel when we see something, but because light travels the same in both directions, it's perfectly valid. So what it will do, it will trace a light ray to each and every point in the scene, and when it meets an object that blocks it, then it will stop the trace. And so this is how we render this scene here. Not a single angular size in sight. So as you can see, the terrain is quite recognizable, and it generally gives a fairly realistic result. Why wouldn't it? It models the physical behavior of light and the mechanism by which we see, or even a camera can see. Exploring the Plane took this particular snapshot here, and he's marked sea level, got no problem with that. The big one, 235 feet high, got no problem with that. But this here point, this is very dodgy indeed. There's this here, you see, this is a very strange point to pick if you're trying to work out, is this model accurate or not? Because you see, this is a slope here. A very small error in the angle that you're looking will result in a different number. And this is very unreliable and easily fudged to produce the results you want. I'll just show Google Earth. Now, I've drawn a line in a very, very close proximity to that, and you can see my tallest elevation there is 2386. In that same immediate area is up to 2,400 feet. So you can see, you just got to wave, I'll go here, you just got to wave your cursor around a bit, and you'll get all kinds of different heights in that immediate vicinity. So how you're going to pick which one is the right one, it's a little bit difficult and prone to error. So I don't agree with this 2351 feet high. Now he's taken this number, this is his single point, this is the whole basis for him declaring that my entire scene is inaccurate, is this dodgy fudged number here, 2351. His whole argument hinges on this. It's a big call to make based on a single point, really. So all credit to Exploring the Plane. There's he's got some modelling software of some kind that he's got a curved surface, and he puts the objects on the surface, and he shows a picture of what it would look like on a globe with no refraction. Now he says clearly this does not match with what we see. Well, no, of course not. Flat earthers like to deny it at times, but not deny it when it suits them, that in reality we have an atmosphere. And no, this is not part of our reality, because we do have an atmosphere. There is air we breathe. It does have a density gradient, and light bends downwards, typically capital K there, 1.17 or 7/6. Now, even taking this photo and overlaying it on Google Earth, you can see Google Earth is a geometric model and it's not going to include refraction. When we take a picture and overlay it on Google Earth, you can see that the real image is raised up, and this is refraction, light bending down, causing the image to raise up a little bit. Well, now what do? Well, I tried to duplicate what Exploring the Plane has done here, just so that we eliminate any doubt about what I was doing and how I was doing it. So I thought it'd be best to duplicate what he's doing. And what I ended up doing eventually was to build some modelling in Sketchup, which gives a very similar result. Now I've got my Sketchup model there. I've got several pieces of Earth, so to speak, with varying radii. One is flat and the rest are curved, and I've got my model here, which represents the height of the big one there, and this represents the height of the mountain, and in a very similar way. So we've zoomed in on the geo camera there, and what I did then was copy and paste that for a comparison. So my modelling of geometric curvature, it's no refraction, matches pretty much exactly the same as Exploring the Plane's model. So I know that what I'm doing is the same as what he's doing, so let's carry on. Now, using those numbers, Exploring the Plane says he had to ratchet it up to a 13/10R before he got a match, and then the argument is that this is not standard refraction, this is significantly more refraction, and therefore it couldn't happen. But remember, of course, that the numbers used in this analysis are a bit on the dodgy side. So when I did the same 13/10 radius, I get the same result. Now, 2 years ago, the original video that this material was from, Exploring the Plane said, "Is my flat Earth render any closer to what we see?" And he says it is, a little closer, but not by much. So I did this comparison, and I've put here, this is the 7/6R using an incorrect height. This is the globe with no refraction, and this is the flat Earth. His rendering, my rendering, the flat Earth. Now he said this flat Earth was a little bit closer to the correct height. What do you reckon? Do you reckon it's closer? Now, if we want to do this properly, we should pick a sensible point, not a point on a slope where the slightest error can make a big difference. We could pick a known elevation, which is the top of this mountain here, Dow Crag. Now, we can tell that the top of Dow Crag is 778 meters high, and we can model that. I modeled it on a 7/6R curvature, and look at that. Who's going to say that doesn't match? And when you use the right numbers and don't fudge the numbers, the results are a little bit different, aren't they? I'll be expecting an apology from Exploring the Plane and a retraction video. I'm sure you'll want to do this because you don't want people to think that you're dishonest in any way. And while you're at it, could you please notify all the commenters on your video that you were in fact wrong and that Critical Think was correct, and especially Dr. John D there, who thinks that I'm lying, but you can clearly see that I did not lie about anything. And say g'day to me mate Harry as well. I'm blocked on his channel as well. So I mean, I'd make these statements on your channel if I could, but then I'm blocked there, so I'm sure you'll do the right thing and apologise for your mistake. So we go through the reasons why, exploring the plain thought that I was incorrect. He's used the incorrect data, he's fudged the data, maybe not intentionally, but it's a mistake that needs correcting. I've shown that 7 over 6r fits quite well, and that makes the second point a little bit redundant. But I do notice that you said we see the same relative heights on 3 separate occasions, so therefore, globe confirmed. And most importantly, this is false, this third point. Refraction is well understood, it's modelled, all the equations are known. Refraction causes light to bend down. Light bends down in a density gradient. This is proven, well known. You cannot say that light is normally bending upwards. Yes, it can bend up in extreme conditions, but it requires a very extreme temperature gradient. The primary effect in causing the density gradient is air pressure. And as you go up, the air pressure gets less. And this has a bigger effect than temperature change. So the density is more near the surface, and this causes light to bend down. If you think otherwise, then show us the science. That's it. Show us your equations, show us your experiments, just show us the science. Now, update on the rendering. I told you before it was a ray tracer. We used POV before, but now there's this guy on this channel, Science It Out. It's only a small channel now, but this guy is brilliant. He's produced a new ray tracer that is faster and prettier, I would say, than the POV one we've been using. And anybody can download it and set it up. It's very easy, and it produces wonderful results. So here's my rendering of that scene using Science It Out's ray tracer, and this is rendered with 7 over 6r. So this one's easy to use because all you got to do is download the files from Earth Explorer or somewhere else, and does a wonderful job of rendering the image through ray tracing using the elevation data. It's taken from satellites and various sources. It's absolutely brilliant. I've got the picture, the original picture, and let's put in my 7 over 6r and do some. It's not too bad a fit. I reckon that fits pretty good. You know, I don't know, whatever made you think that 7 over 6r doesn't work. Let's compare that with flat Earth. No refraction. You can see it looks entirely different. The whole scene would look different. And this is how it would look. We were able, through the magic of this ray tracing, to visualize what it would look like if those mountains were on a flat plane. Now, you flat earthers are going to retreat into the position of, oh, we don't have a model. Right. Of course, you're going to do this because if you don't have a model, then you think that you can't be wrong because there's nothing to be wrong. So you can continue to live in the delusion that you're right because there's nothing to prove you're wrong because you don't have a model. So you do think that the flat Earth is flat, don't you? I mean, if it's flat, then let's just take a flat plane like we did here and put some mountains on top of it and look at what it looks like. If you want to say you don't have a model, that's okay. Don't worry about that. We have one that will work just fine. Now, you can use our model if you like. You'll find that it matches reality quite well. You can call it what you like. You can call it flat if you like. But you will find that there are indeed some elements of curvature in it. Is that a problem? I don't know. So we'll try the Geo one. And as expected, the real image is refracted upwards. Exploring the plane, don't forget that apology now. See you later.